Over the past couple of weeks, the boys and I have been trying to put something into motion that we've been planning and thinking about for a really long time. When the boys were younger and we lived at our old house in Ontario, we always tried to have a little roadside stand. So sometimes we had produce from our garden. Sometimes we just had little plants in plant pots or little starter veggies. We would sell them on the end of the driveway, and we had so much fun doing that. It was a skill that we were able to kind of like teach the boys as they were growing up, to help out and like tend to the plants we were putting up for sale. We didn't really do it to like make extra money, but we did it as a learning experience and also because it was something that we really enjoyed doing with the boys. So since we've been here and we've obviously been working on our homestead, one of the things that the boys and I really wanted to do was to have a farm stand at the end of the driveway. But where we live here in Nova Scotia, there are a lot of obstacles that we would need to overcome to be able to actually have items on our farm sold at the roadside. So we're allowed to have roadside eggs. So I am allowed to sell eggs from our chicken coop, but there are stipulations on what I can and can't sell and how I can sell those. We also can have baked goods, but they can't be what they consider more high maintenance baked goods. So it can't be things that need refrigeration or contain certain ingredients unless you have a commercial licensed kitchen, which obviously we just have our home kitchen. And that would be a huge obstacle to have that, to be able to have that licensed. And there's just so many different factors that really make our idea of having a farm stand not really something that we could put into reality. Not without, like I said, going through a ton of hoops to be able to make that work. The other thing is that where we live, we don't get a ton of traffic on our street. And so although we are a main highway coming through our county here, I wouldn't say that we get enough daily traffic to be able to have things like eggs and baked goods and other handmade things sitting at a farm stand all the time. The other thing is that because we do have all of our animals, it would mean that the farm stand would have to be just inside of our gate. And we don't really want any outside traffic coming through the gate. That's why we put our gate up in the first place, because now that we do have, especially we have a bull, we're gonna have more cattle, the horses, we have our dogs. I don't really want people opening and coming through the gate, even if it means they're just getting something from the farm stand. So a lot of things that we really reflected on to make the decision that a farm stand probably isn't something that in the near future we can actually do. So we tried to think out of the box, because when you have a problem, there is a solution. And so we thought that we would do an online farm stand. So what we want to do is, obviously we're not going to have food for sale, but a lot of the projects the boys and I wanted to work on were making some kind of farm themed or English homestead themed items that we can have in our little stand. And so we are going to use ElysiaEnglish.com, and we're going to put up some of our items as we start creating things. So over the past couple of weeks, the boys and I have been working on our first little grouping of products. It's just sort of a tester, get our feet wet in doing this and working all together. And the boys have been helping me. And we are bringing our farm stand to life in a different way. And so I think sometimes when you have a vision and you have a dream, you do have to think of what path you're going to take to be able to get there. And that path isn't always easy, but if you think outside the box, you can pretty much make anything that you're working towards become a reality if you just look at other options. For example, can't necessarily do a farm stand at the end of the driveway, but I can do some type of a farm stand with the boys on our website. As we get going here, and we do have our goats, and we will have our own goat's milk soap, and we will have other products that we can add. Eventually we'll have our own honey, and we'll have some other things that we could actually ship and do different things with. Obviously we won't be shipping things like eggs or milk or things like that, but decor elements and other things that we can have for English Homestead, we can put on there. And so I want to show you just a few snippets of some things that the boys and I have been working on over the past couple of weeks for our first products, and they're live on our website now if you'd like to support what we're doing. But this is just the beginning. We're going to have a ton more of these items on the website as we go. And this is just a limited first time launch. We just made 10 of each color. So we have 20 in total on the site available. And then anything above that, we'll have to do a launch. What we're doing is we're only putting the ones on the website that are already done, ready to ship out within a couple of days. And so they're ready. They're going to ship out Monday if you've ordered this weekend, and then we're going to go from there, which is very exciting. And in addition to our Create With Me kits, which will be continuing, there was some delays in some of the products in terms of the postal strike. The postal strike has now returned, and so some of those things are starting to finally start showing up where they need to be. So that will be something that you'll continue to see us do over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that as well. So the boys and I have been working on some of the samples that we want to do for our first products for our online farm shop, and I want to show you a few little testers. We're using the X tool for one of the items that's going in our first little grouping of items that we're doing. And so I'm just going to show you how I've been testing to see how my engraving is working on some of the serving trays that we're adding into our first grouping. I think they're turning out super cute, but I want to show you. So you can see that my little camera there is going to figure out where things are. That'll be my laser. And my camera here up here is going to read where this is. You're going to be seeing this much before the boys and I actually show you these completed and have them on the shop, but I don't want to forget to film and show you how we're making these happen. Boys and I, once I get the first one kind of put together, the boys are going to print through the rest of them because they have been practicing with the X tool. And I think this one is placed perfectly, so I'm going to send it from my computer, from our laptop, on to do the engraving on this first serving board. So this is the camera view of what the X tool program is showing me inside my laptop. And so now I get to send it to be able to actually engrave. So this was my first attempt and it wasn't dark enough. We've been testing on other types of wood, but this is the actual serving board that our first ones are going to be on. And so I wanted to get the engraving correct. And so I kept trying on multiple different pieces of wood. Now I've tried on the actual product. This is just a sample one that I had so that I can do as many tests on here as I need to, but I'm really happy with how this one turned out. It's nice and crisp and clear. It doesn't look burnt or too dark, and it's definitely not too light. This one was much too light, but I think it turned out so good. So now I need to get this English Homestead lettering here, but raised up a little bit, because you can see where I placed this one. Once the laser actually measured where it was on the board from the camera view, there's a little camera underneath here that I can view inside my X tool to know where the actual items are. But I think because this is rounded, it made it look like I was placing my lettering up a little bit higher, which when I actually engraved, it was too low. So I now think this one is the perfect depth for the engraving and the perfect coloring. And so I need to put in my official first one. That's going to be our for sure ones. The boys and I have been working on these and getting everything ready, but I think that looks pretty good. So let's try one for real this time. Right now I'm just framing up, sanding and framing and staining a few of the frames for these little wood quilts that the boys made. So we have 10 of these with the blue and white, and then we have 10 with the green and white. Like I said, we're just doing a launch of 20 to see how they do, but these need some sanding. So while the boys are at school today, I'm going to sand all of their frames and do the stain on them and then fire them on. The boys do a lot of the portions of all of these, but I think this part I definitely need to make sure is perfectly accurate so the frames are great. And there we have our frames. I need to be able to nail these on, so I'm going to go get the brad nailer. But I wanted to pick a stain that would match everyone's stain color, so nothing too dark, nothing too orange, nothing too tan, just something really neutral. I think they look so cute. And now we can get the frames fired on and start assembling our first product. So here is an example of a blue version where you have the shades of blue if you're a blue person, and then this is the version if you are a green person. I haven't written the recipe that's going to go on the card, but we have our favorite recipe for the month we're going to put on these cards with black ink. So you get 2 tea towels, a Brandon English Homestead serving tray, a farm wood quilt, you get a tree cookie with English Homestead, our monthly recipe, and then our little freebie is just our little I love you hands, which I just need to glue the 2 pieces together right now. I think those look so cute. So a couple of weeks ago, that really started to like inspire us to get this project going. Was Philip was up in the attic and he was doing some work and he found something so unbelievably cool in the attic. And we've been doing as much research as we can on different historical things that have taken place. What did they actually use the property for? And we figured out that there actually used to be a farm general store right here. So we assume that they used to sell things that they produced right here on their farm, which makes our idea so much cooler than we ever really imagined. Can you imagine how many years ago, how many decades ago, there would have been a little general farm store right here, right off to the side to where we are building our barn right now? And think of the animals that used to be here. We know that there was cattle here. We know that they had other animals. We're still researching exactly what that they had, but I think there's a spot we can go and get more information that we haven't been able to go and access yet. But look at this super amazingly cool item that he found upstairs in our attic. There are some things up there that were left in that space before we even got here, which we really need to like actually take some time and go through. But this item undeniably told us that we were on the right path with what we were trying to do. We found the old adding machine that they used in the store here on our property. Literally look at this thing. It is so old. Some of the buttons will push down, some won't. Think of the stories that this could tell. I wish that this could tell me what products that they used to have. As you know, over the time that we've had this house, we've tried to implement as many things as possible. Although we didn't know the family that used to live here, learning about the family and finding the old notes underneath the floor and seeing some of the things that they did that we can actually factually know happened here. We just feel really tied to this property, and because we're so determined to make this a home and make this our dream property, that they also obviously had big dreams for us to put some of the things into implementation that they also did. It makes it seem like so much neater for us. And I know that it's just the connections that we have doing things like this, or it's just another way that we can do that and bring life back into this property. So I hope that you enjoyed just a little snippet. Over the next couple of weeks while we're working on some other products, the boys want to be able to show you some of the things that they've been helping with. And so you're gonna get to see a little bit more of that as we go over the next couple of weeks while we're putting a bunch of our designs into implementation on our site for things that we're going to have that are from English Homestead. I know some of you are waiting for some things. I know we've been having people asking us for animal shaped cutting boards and Henry and our new cattle little ornaments and things like that. And so we will have some more personalized items as we go here. But like I mentioned, the boys are helping me with all of these projects. And so I'm just working slowly so we can come up with a few things. And a lot of the things that we're working on are ideas that the boys put together with me that they've wanted to do. They thought that a serving tray would be really adorable, and they wanted to make some farm theme items to be able to get us started, and then of course share one of our favorite recipes with you. So I hope that you enjoyed that, and it's just kind of neat for us to show you some things we're doing, again, behind the scenes that we do for our handmade business. So this was episode 38. We have filmed every single day in a row for 38 days. And tomorrow is a very exciting day for day 39 because we are welcoming our heifer tomorrow. So stay tuned for tomorrow's episode where you'll get to meet and see our first meeting of our new girl who's coming to the homestead. We are all not going to sleep tonight. We'll be so excited. Oh, I can't even. It's just so exciting to see all of our English Homestead projects come into place. I love you. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. Ah, so exciting. Hi, my handsome boy. You are getting a friend tomorrow. Yes, how exciting. Are you ready for some supper? You ready for some supper? I know the pigs are so silly.